The American Old West was a time of lawlessness, violence, and frontier justice, and the gunslingers who roamed the wilds of the West have become the stuff of legend. From lawmen to outlaws, these men were known for their incredible accuracy, lightning-fast reflexes, and deadly skill with a gun. In this list, we'll explore the top 10 gunslingers of all time, and we'll learn about their lives and about some of their most famous incidents. So, grab your holster, and get ready. Number 10, Butch Cassidy. Born Robert Leroy Parker in 1866 in Utah, Cassidy grew up in a Mormon family, working as a cowboy and ranch hand in his youth, but began rustling cattle and stealing horses in his early 20s. In the late 1880s, Cassidy formed a gang of outlaws known as the Wild Bunch, which included such notorious criminals as the Sundance Kid, Kid Curry, and LZ. Cassidy was known for his loyalty to his gang members and his generosity to the poor. In 1899, Cassidy's gang robbed a train known as the Union Pacific Flyer, and they made off with around $30,000 in cash, which would be just over $1 million today. In 1901, Cassidy and the Sundance Kid fled to South America to escape the law, eventually settling in Bolivia, where they continued to rob banks and stagecoaches. However, their luck eventually ran out, and they were killed in a shootout with Bolivian soldiers in 1908. Number 9, Tom Horn. Thomas Horn Jr. was known to be able to hit a target at over 200 yards with a rifle and had a deep knowledge of the terrain and wildlife of the American West. Born in 1860 in Missouri, Horn began working as a hired gun for cattle barons and ranchers, and he served in the U.S. Army in the 1880s. In 1889, Horn was involved in a high-profile manhunt for a group of Apache warriors, during which he tracked down and killed the leader of the group, a notorious outlaw known as the Apache Kid. In 1894, Horn was hired by the Pinkerton Detective Agency to help track down and capture Butch Cassidy's gang. In 1895, Horn successfully tracked down and killed 3 gang members, earning a reputation as a skilled and ruthless enforcer. Horn's career took a darker turn in 1901, when he was accused of murdering a 14-year-old boy. Though he maintained his innocence, he was eventually hanged in 1903. Number 8, Billy the Kid. Perhaps the most famous Wild West outlaw, Billy the Kid, born William Henry McCarthy Jr. in 1859 in New York City, was a skilled gunslinger who was said to have killed 21 men before he was shot and killed at the age of 21. He had quick draw, deadly accuracy, and an ability to use a variety of firearms. His father died when he was young, and his mother moved the family to Indiana and then to Kansas, where she married again. Billy's stepfather was abusive, and Billy soon became involved in petty crimes. One of Billy's most famous exploits occurred in 1877, when he was arrested for stealing a horse, and, while in jail, he managed to escape by killing 2 deputies and fleeing on horseback. In April 1878, Billy killed a sheriff and one of his deputies. This incident sparked a manhunt for Billy the Kid and his associates, and led to a string of violent confrontations and shootouts. In April 1881, while awaiting trial for the murder of the sheriff he had killed 3 years earlier, Billy the Kid escaped from jail again, killing 2 guards in the process. In July of that year, at age 21, he was shot and killed by Sheriff Pat Garrett in New Mexico. Number 7, John King Fisher. Born in 1854 in Mississippi, Fisher moved to Texas with his family as a child, beginning his criminal career as a member of John Wesley Hardin's gang. After Hardin's imprisonment, Fisher formed his own gang and began robbing banks, trains, and stagecoaches throughout Texas. He was known for his sharpshooting skills and was said to be able to shoot the wings off a fly. He killed around 20 people during his lifetime. One of Fisher's most famous incidents occurred in 1878 when he and his gang attempted to rob the First National Bank in Gainesville, Texas. The robbery turned into a violent shootout, and several people, including the town's mayor, were killed, but Fisher and his gang managed to escape with a large amount of money. Fisher continued to commit robberies and other crimes throughout Texas until he was killed in a gunfight in 1884. Number 6, Clay Allison. Born in Tennessee in 1840, Clay Allison grew up on a farm in Arkansas. When the Civil War broke out, he fought for the Confederacy, and was eventually captured and sent to a Union prison camp. Clay Allison was regarded as one of the deadliest and most accurate shots of his time, and was known for his toughness and willingness to stand up to anyone who challenged him, regardless of the odds. He is estimated to have killed around a dozen people in his lifetime. In 1874, a deputy sheriff insulted Allison's horse, to which Allison responded by shooting him in the head. In that same year, Allison was involved in a shootout with another gunslinger who had killed at least 7 men. Allison was wounded in the leg during the shootout, but he managed to kill the man before being taken into custody. In 1878, Allison and a group of cowboys were involved in a skirmish with a group of Mexican vaqueros, where several people were killed or injured. Allison's life came to an end in 1887, when he was accidentally shot by a friend during a hunting trip. Number 5. Wild Bill Hickok. Born James Butler Hickok in 1837 in Illinois, Wild Bill grew up in a farming family and became a lawman in the early 1860s. He was known for his skill, quick draw, and deadly accuracy with a gun, his courage in the face of danger, and his sharp instincts as a detective. He soon became a legend in his own time, known throughout the West as a fearless and deadly lawman. According to some accounts, he killed as many as 100 people. In July 1865, Hickok and another man were having a dispute over a watch. They settled their differences with a duel. Hickok emerged victorious, shooting the man from a distance of 75 yards. The incident was one of the first examples of a quick-draw duel, in which the two men faced each other and drew their guns in a matter of seconds. Hickok's life came to an end in 1876, when he was shot and killed while playing poker in South Dakota. Number 4. Jim Killer Miller. Born James Brown Miller in Arkansas in 1861, Killer Miller grew up in a family of outlaws and criminals. His father, John Miller, was a notorious bandit who was eventually killed by lawmen, and Jim followed in his footsteps by becoming an outlaw himself. Miller was known for his skill with firearms, and was involved in a number of violent altercations throughout the Wild West, being feared by many due to his ruthless and brutal nature. Miller was responsible for at least 20 murders during his lifetime. He was involved in the Hoodoo War in Texas, a violent feud between two factions over control of local government. Miller was hired by one of the factions and he carried out a number of brutal murders during the conflict. In 1908, Miller killed Pat Garrett, the responsible for Billy the Kid's death. Eventually, Jim Miller was captured and executed for his crimes in 1909. Number 3. Wyatt Earp. Born in Illinois in 1848, Earp grew up in a family of farmers and tradespeople. As a young man, he moved west to seek his fortune, eventually becoming a lawman in 1868. He was known for his physical strength and his fearlessness in the face of danger. In October 1881, Wyatt and his brothers, along with Doc Holliday, confronted a group of outlaws known as the Cowboys in a vacant lot near the OK Corral in Tombstone, Arizona, where 3 of the cowboys were killed. The gunfight became a symbol of the lawlessness and violence of the Old West. After the gunfight, tensions continued to escalate. In March 1882, Wyatt and his brothers embarked on a mission of revenge known as the Vendetta Ride, in which they hunted down and killed several members of the cowboy gang. Despite these incidents, Earp is the only one in this list who died at an old age and of natural causes, dying in 1929 at the age of 80. Number 2. Jesse James. Born in Missouri in 1847, Jesse Woodson James and his family moved to Kansas during the Civil War. As a teenager, James joined a Confederate guerrilla group and took part in several raids on Union soldiers and sympathizers. At just 16 years old, James took part in the Centralia Massacre, a guerrilla raid on a Union train in Centralia, Missouri, and where James and his fellow guerrillas later ambushed a group of Union soldiers who were pursuing them, killing more than 20 soldiers and mutilating their bodies. After the Civil War, James and his brother Frank formed the James Younger Gang and began a career of robbing banks, trains, and stagecoaches across the Midwest, earning a reputation as some of the most daring and dangerous outlaws of their time. James is believed to have killed around 20 people during his lifetime. In 1876, the gang attempted to rob the First National Bank of Northfield, Minnesota. The robbery went awry when the townspeople and local law enforcement fought back, and the gang was forced to flee. This was a turning point for the gang, as several members were either killed or captured in the aftermath. James' life came to an end in 1882, when one of his own gang members agreed to betray him in exchange for a pardon from the governor of Missouri. James was shot in the back of the head while he was hanging a picture in his home, and died instantly. Number 1. John Wesley Hardin. Born in 1853 in Texas, Hardin grew up in a family of lawyers and was educated in a private school. However, he quickly developed a reputation as a troublemaker and became involved in numerous fights and altercations. Hardin was known for his exceptional marksmanship and his ability to shoot with both hands. He could reportedly shoot a dime that was thrown into the air. At the age of 15, Hardin killed his first man, a black man who had insulted him. He fled Texas and began a life of crime, becoming a professional gambler and gunslinger. Hardin's violent and lawless behavior soon earned him a reputation as one of the most dangerous men in the West. Over the years, Hardin was involved in numerous shootouts, robberies, and other criminal activities, killing around 42 men during his lifetime. Hardin was involved in several shootings and killings during a long-standing feud between two powerful families in Texas, which escalated into violence in the late 1860s and early 1870s. In 1876, while he was in jail for murder, a group of vigilantes attempted to lynch him, but Hardin managed to escape, killing the town sheriff in the process. 1 year later, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison, during which he wrote several essays and books on his experiences in the West. After serving 17 years, Hardin was released in 1894, but soon killed a Texas deputy sheriff. He was eventually shot and killed himself by a lawman 1 year later. Well, this is it. These are the 10 most legendary gunslingers of all time. If you liked the video, be sure to smash the thumbs up button and comment your thoughts on the list. If you don't want to miss any of our top 10 content, feel free to subscribe and click the notifications button. This is Who's Number 1. See you next time.